more complex the food, the more chance there is of generating waste, because you're using things in a very specific way, or perhaps only using like one part of an animal or one muscle or the inner leaves from a cabbage or whatever it may be. The menu we have currently for takeaway is pretty rustic, to be honest, and we're able to use all of our ingredients really efficiently. We're using featherblade and chuck, which are two really cheap cuts for our beef bourguignon, but they're really delicious dry-aged beef cuts from our butcher. And because of that, we're able to get a really good price because they're less sort of desirable. Limiting the amount you waste means that you can make more money, and that is ultimately what we're here for. We are here to look after people and give people nice food, but if we don't make a profit, it's going to be really hard to continue as a business. We're definitely always looking at how we can minimize waste, and sometimes it's inevitable, for example, like fruit peelings or things like bread trimmings and stuff like that. There's always going to be a degree of waste, and we try and find ways to sort of repurpose those things into other things. So whenever we prep fruits, we turn the peelings into vinegars, for example, and we use that in dressings. Or with the ends of yesterday's bread, we basically turn those into crackers and things like that. I think there's lots of ways you can use your byproducts effectively to turn them into a new thing.
There's obvious reasons why waste management is important, but most of all of our waste we use as staff food, or we use on the menu. We really try and use as much as possible, whether it's making a fishbone caramel or whatever it may be.
My rule on food waste is anything we can eat doesn't go in the bin. So whether that's whatever it is, but interestingly, people don't necessarily know there's things that you can eat, and they just are so used to kind of programmed to put those in the bin. Things like carrot tops, cauliflower leaves, kale stalks, there's all uses for them. Then there's also the separation of that. So obviously we have separate bins for food waste, we have separate bins for recycling, and then for general waste.
It's monitored very carefully by our senior chefs. I mean, everybody's held accountable for it in the senior team somewhere along the line. So it's everybody's benefit to cut waste, not just from a kind of an ethical side of things, but from a business side of things. So it's about it starts with incredibly tight ordering from the senior chef. So our chefs spend an hour to 2 hours every day, particularly here where we've got a huge amount of going on. We're going around the fridges, going around everybody's fridges, checking the fridges to make sure that they're ordering correctly, not over ordering. And then in terms of when you go down to the junior chefs, training on how to prep things properly. It kind of starts with that, peeling vegetables, prepping fish, prepping meat. The correct way to do these things will minimise waste straight away. If they know how to fillet a fish properly, then you're not leaving half the fish on the bone, that kind of thing. That's really important. And that gets monitored by our senior team.
If you have too much waste in your restaurant, take a look at the data. Go back to that simple sheet, have a look at what's selling, have a look at what you're producing. You can use that as a forecasting tool. So if you've got 60 people in, you can have a look at the data from the previous 3 months. You can divide that up and have a look at what a day might look like. So you can really break it down and have a look at the detail behind the numbers. So I would say if you're suffering from wastage, it could be down to having too much on your menu, it could be down to overproduction, and it could be down to plate waste. So take a look at every single stage. Are you producing too much? Is there too much complexity? And how much is coming back from the diners? Because that will tell you everything you need to know.